Ice cold champagne after a naked session in the steam room. Alright, wait, they're still there? They're still there? They don't wanna... The three other guys are standing there staring at a dead person?
Death with a peculiarly Roman piquancy.
Like the one you almost had an hour ago.
Let us forget about that.
There's like three naked dudes just sitting here waiting for us while they are watching the other dead naked dude. This is the weirdest thing. Why don't they move somewhere else and get dressed? Alright, hey, policeman.
Mr. Holmes?
And then there's a policeman watching three naked dudes. Sure. I guess so. I guess that makes sense. No, it doesn't. That is... Is that a naga? It's a dude with two fishtails for legs. Is that what it is? That is the strangest thing. And then there's octopus and squids and... I think those are meant to be dolphins. Or fish. Some kind of fishy things. I'm more interested in the architecture than in the naked dudes, to be honest. Those are Capricorns? And that's supposed to be... well, that's something. It's a guy with tentacly legs. Tentacles for legs.
The brazier is still burning. The heat here is extreme.
Yeah, but what's this?
I will need something to pick up this melted metal.
It's a melted lump of metal.
It is too hot. I cannot reach into it.
Well, okay. The thing is, the brazier is not really hot enough to melt most metals unless it's lead or like some metal with a low melting point. Wait, there's glasses there. What are the glasses?
One lens is cracked, probably due to the temperature of the brazier. These lenses are for myopia. The wearer is short-sighted.
Short-sighted, okay. Short-sighted, glasses put down. There's blood on his towel.
Blood traces wiped on the towel.
It's a handprint. You can, well, I mean, the game barely showed it to you, but that's a handprint, right? It's a right hand handprint. If you're assuming the palm was bloody and it's wiping the palm. Alright. Let's look at the dead guy, shall we? Apparently I can't walk past... What's in blood?
I should check this blood sample at Baker Street.
Oh, really? There's a key.
This key was covered in blood. I should ask Phillips about it.
That's the key to the door, I suppose. Anything else? Body. Missing an eye.
There was only one hit from the weapon. It pierced the right eye straight through to the brain. Death would have been instantaneous.
That's... Alright, that's substantial.
The wound should not have bled so profusely. This pool is rather large. Look, Watson. He was wearing a ring. He very likely removed it before the steam session.
Okay, we need to find the
Some
ring.
dirt or earth. I'll take a sample.
Okay, we've got some dirt samples.
The death is very recent, between 30 minutes to 1 hour ago.
I think we have found all that we can here, taking into consideration the abysmal lighting. Constable, we have finished with the body.
We don't have many leads here.
What concerns me is that we still have to find the murder weapon.
Mr. Holmes?
Please have the body removed without disturbing anything else in the room.
All right, Mr. Holmes.
I was wondering, Holmes, it's fairly reckless to carry out a murder inside a closed chamber. Why do you suppose they did it?
There are a great many possibilities. The murderer was in a hurry. Or he is an artist. Or a ghost. Or he wanted to ensure that I'd be brought in on the case.
Probably the latter. You are ridiculous. Do you know that?
Okay, well, we figured that out. We need something to remove the weapon. Should I talk to these guys? I don't suppose. Let's talk to these guys first.
It's horrible. So Rodney, he's dead. Can't we speak about it somewhere else?
Can we?
I found him. I touched his shoulder, thinking that he was just asleep. I don't want to stay here. Let us out, please.
So I guess Mr. Garrow is the one who's short-sighted. Because he touched his shoulder and then it was full of blood and he wiped it on the towel.
I'm in shock. I don't want to talk. If you have to interrogate me, I'd like to be dressed properly first.
No, remove the towel and then we can talk.
I feel ill. I want to go. I'm in shock. I don't want to talk.
Alright, I was gonna...
It's horrible. So Rodney,
Alright.
he's dead. It's horrible. I can't talk at the moment. I can't understand what happened. Am I allowed to leave? Or do we have to stay here? Can't we go? It's horrible. I can't talk at the moment.
Fascinating. So we need to keep them there for a moment longer while we
Clothes belonging to one of the...
while we mess around and try to get the lump of metal from the fire, and we have to examine the blood and the dirt. Okay, can we... Do I go back to the lab and work on the dirt? And the
Mr. Holmes,
key?
I should like to take the suspects to the yard. You can interrogate them there. Any objections?
Wait.
Please wait. I need to do something first.
I don't know. Let me exhaust the options first. So we don't interrogate them there. The steam room keys.
How many people have keys to the steam room?
We have just the one key for now, which Sir Gregory gave to me.
So, this morning you opened the steam room, and then?
I put the key inside my desk, but when they called, I couldn't find it. It had disappeared. I don't know where it is.
Did you leave the baths at any time, or receive any visitors?
No, sir, I did not.
Morning telegram.
You are not telling the truth, Mr. Phillips. You left your work this morning, and you went to the post office, where you dispatched a telegram at around 7:30.
But how could you... No,
The telegram was for someone in Manchester.
Mr. Holmes, it's I'll tell you everything. I left the baths at 7:20. My sister wrote to me yesterday, and she needed a reply, or our mother is unwell. I was away for 20 minutes, and I closed the baths on my way out.
Did you receive a reply from your sister?
No, she wasn't meant to. I just told her to pawn my old school uniform so that she could pay for the medication.
Did you check to see if the key was still in your desk when you returned?
No, I didn't. Please, Mr. Holmes, don't tell the police about this. Sir Gregory would give me the sack. I need this job.
I see.
Okay, so he left the desk. The key, the men took the key. Alright, well, I need to I'm not taking notes, so I'm just trying to keep all these things in my head. See how well we do.
There is a bottle of champagne on ice in the changing room. Do you have any idea who left it there?
There is? Are you quite certain? I didn't pay any attention. Do you believe that it's important?
You don't know who left the champagne?
Mr. Holmes?
Oh, we can come back here. Are those real plants or fake plants? Are those real plants? Is that a hole in the ceiling? Okay, this is weird. Is it a fake Roman ruin or is it a real Roman ruin? I can't tell. I can't really tell.
This area serves as Sir Rodney Bentcliffe's workshop.
Rodney Bentcliffe's office. Well, let's go mess around with this stuff. Ah, tongs.
I will need these tongs.
I will need these tongs.
Tools used by archaeologists in their research.
Oh, really? It's a real Roman bath that's been restored to working order? This metal plate, besides its archaeological interest, appears to be a part of something larger. At the present moment I'm unable to determine exactly what that might be. Perforated plate. It's
A shape has been cut in the plate. What should be done with it?
Really? There's like a hidden room in the...
Archaeological findings. Old clay pots with numbers inscribed upon them.
Alright, so it's an actual Roman bath apparently. It's not an imitation. Dear friend, I wish to organize a press conference at the Strand Lane Baths next month. 1893 was a remarkable year for my work in Egypt. But now it is my time to set my focus upon English archaeology. To shine the light on our national treasures and reveal them to the public, I would like to see as many journalists as possible in attendance to record this event, and record it favorably if we treat them well enough. I should like to recall my old friendship with Lord Blackmore, and use the special funds of the Royal Archaeological Institute for this event, Sir Rodney Bentcliffe. Okay, archaeologist. Daily Mirror. There are few among us who could claim any degree of unfamiliarity with the name Sir Rodney Bentcliffe. He is a gentleman who possesses the wealth, notoriety, and vigor to well match the finest of his ilk abound in England. His intellect is equal to his charms and has oft been declared by the young ladies of European aristocracy. If you say so. The Daily Mirror, you know what I mean? Tabloid. He holds powerful connections within the Lord's Chamber and carries an influence inside the political world. There are those who would call him unforgiving, authoritarian. We should rather say that Sir Rodney is determined and ambitious. His presence at any archaeological site can only mean success for all concerned. Sure. And the Times. Miraculous reopening for the Strand Line Roman Baths excavation research. The research efforts were about to be halted when a savior arrived in the form of Sir Rodney Bentcliffe. Sir Rodney has taken over the immediate control of the excavation. Claiming that the site holds the key to a great mystery, we pledge to update our readers with all of the exciting news as it develops. Okay. Interesting. Exciting discoveries. What is this?
Archaeological findings. Old clay pots with numbers inscribed upon them.
Okay, I'm not sure you should actually inscribe numbers on the stuff, right? Don't you like want to like put a tag on it and then not actually write on it? Doesn't that damage the artifact? Photo
Glass
negatives.
plate negatives. A remarkable method for recording ancient civilizations.
Alright. So these are
A glass
photos.
plate negative is missing.
Well, can we look at them? These are from
It is a
Egypt.
glass plate negative of an Egyptian statue.
Alright, old school photography. Glass plates. So this is why people didn't used to take so many selfies, right? So back in the old days, to take a photo, you have to use a glass plate to capture the image. So imagine every time you want to take a selfie, you have to take out your old school camera, your glass plate with a bunch of chemicals on it, and then you have to sit there for like 20 minutes to take the photo. So if things were that difficult, you wouldn't take selfies all day long. You know what I mean? Like it's just too expensive. Whereas these days, everyone has their iPhones and Android phones, and you just take selfies all day long because it's cheap and easy, and it doesn't even cost you anything. Selfies, penis pictures, stuff like that. Like who? Nobody had the time to take penis pictures back in the old days because photography technology was not as advanced. Anyway, I think I've seen everything in that room. Although interestingly, in some of the old Roman baths, there'd be pictures and mosaics of like naked men and women and like people having sex, like as murals. So the Roman baths were interesting things, interesting times. I mean, their sensibilities are not the same as ours, right? I remember going to Pompeii. That's not really.
My God, are you all right? I wonder how this could have happened.
Yes, it is somewhat treacherous. Fortunately, I am unscathed. To where does this corridor lead?
To the frigidarium, the coal room.
Barely unscathed and by a very small margin. And treacherous is an understatement.
So back to penises. So I remember back in when I went to Pompeii, like you would, because Pompeii, if you don't know, it's an old Roman, I guess, town. It was a small city, a big town, small city. It was like a Roman town that got buried by a volcano. So the volcano erupted, and the whole place just got buried in ash. And so it's really well preserved under the ash, right? And so eventually people excavated it. So it gives us a very good record of an old Roman town slash city. And yeah, and so the bathrooms in some of the richer houses would have mosaics of naked people having sex on the toilet walls, on the bathroom walls, because that's how they get their pornography. Because there was no internet back then, you see, and so you couldn't just go on the internet and look up naked pictures. And so to get naked pictures of people, you have to kind of draw them or use mosaics to kind of make naked pictures on your walls. It wasn't just mosaics, it was like pottery as well. So yeah, so that was pornography back in the olden days.